art, music, and beauty. But actually, they told me at the beginning that I was here for the technique and for the technical part of the mandolin, so I prepare myself about it. And now your question. Your question is, I started playing the mandolin when I was 10 in Milano, when I grew up, when I come from. And it was in a mandolin orchestra. A mandolin orchestra is an orchestra with every kind of mandolin. For every kind of mandolin, I mean, if you are familiar with the violin family, for example, you have the violin, the viola, the cello, the bass. You have the mandolin, the mandola, the mandocello, the mando bass, okay, and guitars. Guitars are an important part of the mandolin orchestra. And at the time, in the 70s, the mandolin orchestra in Milan was big. 70 people were there. So you can imagine 70 people that together play mandolin. It's an amazing sound. It's huge. And so I studied with them, I played with them, and then I had a formal education with a double bass. And I spent 20 years in Italy in classical orchestra playing the bass. That was my job there. And then when I moved in the US 10 years ago, I started conducting the mandolin orchestra, San Francisco Mandolin Orchestra we have here, and I teach mandolin all around. This is more or less my background, where I come from.
Well, I was interested that your two areas of specialty are the mandolin and the bass.
Yeah.
And you pointed out to me that there's some
similarity. You know, when you play a mandolin with a pick. Okay, you stroke a string. There's some force, some intentional. It's like you break the string. You don't break the string, but that's the.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky. Sometimes you also break the strings. And when you play the bass, you need strength. It's really a different job than playing the violin. There's more intention, and I knew a lot of bass players that play also the mandolin. It's not uncommon. These two instruments they are well together. Even now I don't play the bass anymore. 10 years I don't play the bass.
You couldn't bring 6 basses.
No way.
Sorry guys, but
Not here.
if you can use the microphone, otherwise people at the end they won't.
You cannot hear us?
No, just hold it, maybe.
Just hold it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. now you can hear us? You can hear me? Then, what else we can say?
Do they have the same strings, the bass and the mandolin?
No. Actually, the bass is tuned by fourth. Maybe this is technical. I don't know. For fourth, I really mean the number of the notes. No, if you think do, re, mi, fa, the fourth note is the next strings. For the mandolin, you have fifth. Do, re, mi, fa, sol. Okay, you have a different relation between the strings.
So how can they be similar? How can the...
All they are similar in the intention the player has to put in play it. Then the fingering are very different. And this is just to say that the mandolin is tuned like the violin. Okay, that is, and this is not by chance.
It wasn't always tuned like the violin.
No, it wasn't. To start a little bit of history of that, we must start with the Crusade. Okay, in the Crusades, the European met an instrument that is the oud. I need years to say it in that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That still exists. That is an Arabian instrument. That is basically the lute. And the lute was introduced during the Crusade period, and it spread in all Europe in thousands, literally, of different form, no? Different dimension. Mostly they are two. They are a little one and a big one. Okay. From the big one comes the guitar. From the little one comes the mandolin.
Did all the earlier forms of the oud have the rounded back?
Yeah, that's the reason why the mandolin still has this form like with a slice. That is the and until the 1600, basically every region of Europe has its own form of mandolin. It's plenty of really different forms with a bowl that is a little deeper or less, and they are all tuned in a different way. You can have 3 strings, 4 strings, 5, 6. They can be double or single. The mandolin has double strings. Double strings mean every string is as a pair. When I play the mandolin, I don't even think they are a couple. They are just one. For me, the mandolin has 4 strings. I know they are 8, but they are basically 4 double strings. Okay, that's very different than that.
And why do you think they settled on double strings?
For the tremolo.
For the tremolo?
Yeah. Basically, if you do the tremolo, now, let's start from the beginning. When you pick a black instrument, the sound is short. Okay. Let's start with the theory.
You have a terrible term for that. We call it decay.
Yeah. I divide all the instruments of the world in 2 categories. Okay. The diaphragmatic instruments and the non-diaphragmatic instruments. You know, the diaphragm is diaphragm, thanks. And to explain what a diaphragm instrument is, it's an instrument where what I'm doing on the instrument is the emission of the sounds. For example, if I play a wind instrument, in the moment I put my breath, create the sound, in the moment I stop, the sound is not there anymore. While on a non-diaphragmatic instrument, you do something that creates the sound, and then the sound. When I pluck a string, I'm empowering the beginning, and then the strings go ahead and play. When I use a bow, the moment I stop the bow, I stop the sound. That is the difference between a diaphragmatic and non-diaphragmatic instrument. And it's not good or bad. It's just, okay. It's not one is good and one is bad. No. They're just 2 different ways to create the sound. And because there's advantages and disadvantages in both creation of the sound. And every instrument try to do something to have the advantages of the others. Okay, so one of the advantages of a non-diaphragmatic is that the emission of the sound is usually very clear. Okay, so all the practice to have for reviving an attack precise and like a non-diaphragmatic instrument. What the mandolin is doing is trying to imitate a diaphragmatic instrument with a technique called il tremolo. Okay, so the tremolo is a series of strokes on the same string that allow the player to have a sound that is long, 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 long until you want. Furthermore, you can control the sound. You can change the volume, the sound, this is very expressive. If you do a tremolo over a single string, every time you touch the string, you stop it. So, if you do a tremolo over 2 strings, when you touch one, the other play. When you touch the other play. There's always a string that's played. So the result is much more sweet, much more. And that's the reason why the mandolin has double strings.
I never knew that.
How about an example?
Get the Venice.
Can you demonstrate?
Okay.
Demonstrate for us. We don't understand.
Eeny, meeny, miny, moe.
If I play, okay, this is a single stroke. But if I basically stay here as much as I want.
Different with that sound on another mandolin.
Oh, it sounds different now. Let's.
Right, that's right.
Tell you what, I'll switch places. This will make it easier.
Let's do one thing at a time. This piece I play now was originally written for bass. Bottesini is an Italian composer of 1800 that wrote amazing music, but so difficult because he wrote for himself for the bass. So I enjoy playing his music On the mandolin, that's much more easy. And, and that's, as you notice, I have the possibility to put expression, to change the volume, to have long notes. And this is thanks to the tremolo, that is the basic technique of the mandolin.
And slides. You can slide a note.
And
Did Asia have any version of a mandolin? Because I know they had a lot of string instruments early in history.
yes, I'm not expert of that. So about Asian instrument, I don't know much. I know they have amazing plucked instrument. I heard some Japanese plucked instruments that are fantastic, but I don't know much about it. Let's say, yeah, about this. Plucked instrument are probably the biggest family of instrument. You can have mandolin is quite a niche, okay, but there's example of a plucked instrument in every culture, and they are so different. They have different dimension, style, tuning, tradition, way to play guitar. It's an amazing family. It's one of the reasons why I love it.
Mandolin is Italian?
This is a nice question. That depends on the point of view. And I explain you. Let's go back to the story that we were start. So we answer these questions. We were say that the lute became two instruments, one big and one small, and the small instrument start be called Mandolino, name very similar around the end of 1500, the 1600, and basically in every region of Italy they have their own version. What's happened is that in 1740 the Neapolitan were able to create a stronger mandolin that was able to have the same tuning of the violin. The violin is a very tense instrument, you know that. And the mandolin is tuned like the violin with double strings. So double the tension of the violin. So you need a lot of structure.
Right, the string tension is the tension that he's referring to. So there's a lot of pounds per square inch on the structure of the instrument.
Yeah. And basically what the Neapolitan invented is the bend of the top. Let me show it to you. This is a 1740 model. It was made for me in 2012. It's not original, it's a copy. And if you see the top is not straight. This part come down a little bit, is bent. Basically, this creates a point of strength here, exactly where the bridge is. And this invention was the reason why the Neapolitan were able to create this mandolin. That became the standard. Basically, today, mandolin are tuned in the same ways. They are different because the technology evolved, but these are the earlier example of mandolin.
So it required more structural strength to support the violin tuning. That prior to that, they were tuned more lightly.
Yes, definitely.
Could you let us hear that, as opposed to the one you just played?
Oh yeah. This is an original piece for mandolin, wrote by Francesco Lecce in the 1700s. So it's a piece wrote for exactly for this instrument, for this kind of mandolin. As you see, we have peg. Yes.
Tuning pegs.
The tuning pegs, very similar to the one of the mandolins. And basically, every Neapolitan instrument that is still with us has this kind of beautiful ornamentation, no? In the hole, in the pickguard, and in the bowl there's scallop ribs. Basically, every rib is, I don't know how to explain better this.
Every rib has a bow to it, and then it's scalloped to where it meets the next rib.
And these are quite elaborate work. And it's quite a proof that the Neapolitan mandolin is not a folk instrument. It's definitely an instrument for the amateur, in the sense of a noble, of the sense of a professional. And basically the amateur had the possibility to play the music for violin without any modification. And that was a big thing, because the violin is much more difficult now, the tuning, all these things. What happened? Okay, we like it's more intimate. No. And yeah. Yes.
How much do you play chords on the violin?
On the mandolin, not much. Okay, it's really an instrument made for. Then recently, let's say in the last 50 years, a lot of guitar players play the mandolins. So they use different technique. Okay.
But when guitar players pick up a mandolin, when they learn to play the mandolin, they're always amazed at how much easier it is to play melodies on the mandolin than on the guitar. It's built for playing melodies.
Yeah, definitely.
The tuning, yes.
What is the difference of the mandolins you brought here? Now we know this is copied from a Neapolitan.
Okay, this one is one of the more modern we have.
The sound isn't as nice.
Yeah, yes, strong. This was made for me, but actually by the same maker that made this instrument, Federico Gabrielli in Milano, he's an amazing guy. And basically he invented, this is a ballback, but it's pretty big. You can see if you compare the two.
Yes.
Okay. It's much bigger. And one of the problems with a big ball back is that the ball is very deep. No? The bigger the deeper, and the deeper it is. And a deep instrument is uncomfortable. And basically invented this thing to have some side very big, very long, and then this shape that remembers a little the baroque guitar. So you still have a bowl, you still have a sound that is similar to the one of the bowl, with a lot of volume, but not too deep. So it's still a comfortable instrument.
That's better.
That's different.
That's a work of art.
Oh yeah, this is just a modern instrument.
Could you comment on the strings?
Pardon?
Could you comment on the strings? You mentioned earlier about the tension.
Yes.
Okay? So, back in the days of the Crusades, I don't know, whatever they were using, we are now. How has the technology or the evolution of the string added to the instrument?
Okay. For the early model, for the 1740, let's say the scholar have a big argument about it. Because for someone, they use gut. But someone else said, no, we found some very, very, very old metal strings, very light, that were perfect for the instrument. This instrument now has some metal and some is not gut because also the technology advanced and the gut is quite unstable. So they call the nile gut. It's a mixture of nylon, but it's stronger. So it's Aquila. It's a brand, Italian brand that invent these kind of strings that are.
And the effect on the tone, the relationship to the kind of string? Would the strings have an effect on the tone?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is metal.
So on any instrument, it would not be unreasonable to assume there are some metal strings and some synthetic gut strings?
No. For the mandolin, you have to use the metal. Okay. Only for the early mandolin, for the baroque mandolin,
Right.
or the 1700, you can use the gut, but for the modern, you use the metal. Then there's a lot of different kind of strings because let me show. May I, please? No. Where is it? For example, this instrument has some. They call it flat.
I should warn you, my C string's tuned up to a D.
I love it.
So this is this microphone is louder than I expected, sorry. He's playing a mandola, which is the viola of the family. And this one is made in 1914. And I've recently strung it with these flat wound strings that are very mellow in tone. They're not as bright and brassy as brass strings typically are.
This is another mandola. As you see, it's big. And these are more.
Right. So the lower strings are all wound. There's a steel core, and the coating, if you will, the other metal is wound around, and so that sound you get is the ridges between the windings. So that other mandola has the very smooth.
You can know that.
Yeah.
Yes.
For which you pay.
And let's go ahead with this history. We were talking about the baroque instrument, peg, scallop, a precise form of the sound hole that is always round, this shape, this ornamentation that are very, very typical. And in 1830s, they start to use the tuning machine. You can see it better. Let me see if I can find one. Yeah, here you can. There's a mechanism that basically is with some screw.
A worm gear.
Yeah. And the main difference between the 1830 model and then 1740 are in the dimension. You see this is bigger. Not much, but it's enough big to have a difference. And also we have a fretboard that is longer and it's elevated from the top. The fretboard is not at the same level of the top, it's over the top and then continue. While the fretboard here is exactly at the same level of the top, and then you have frets directly over the top. Okay.
That's oval.
Hmm?
That one's oval, and this is round.
Correct. That's round, that's oval.
So which do you prefer?
They are different in the sense that with the oval, basically the oval hole allow a longer fretboard and a larger bracket. Bracket are some piece of wood that help the top to vibrate in a more uniform way. Okay, without the bracket.
Braces.
Braces.
We call them. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And this is a traditional Neapolitan. This is actually the oldest of the pack because this is 1898. It's original, and these are beautiful instruments.
Mm-hmm. Let's hear it.
Hmm?
Let's hear it.
Similar sound to a harpsichord in that sound, and if so, why?
Because the emission, because the emission of the sound is made in the same way. An harpsichord has inside a series of peaks that pluck.
Oh, I see.
You think when you press a key, the pluck
I didn't even know that.
move the strings. So the kind of sounds, the emission of the sound is made in a very, 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 very similar way.
Wow, it's the first time I ever noticed that.
Uh-huh. Very good observation.
Absolutely.
Yes, piano.
Piano?
Hmm?
piano?
A piano use hammer,
Hammer.
so it's a different kind of mission.
Do you always pluck both strings even when you're not doing tremolo?
Mostly yes, but remember that from my point of view, it's just one.
Right.
So when I play, I really think there's a word that's an Italian word that say cori. I don't know if it's used.
What's the word?
The word is basically coro.
Okay.
Okay. And the two strings together are one
course.
coro. One course, one coro.
Yes.
So I really think like I have 4 strings. Then most of the time I play both. I know because I tried. I do an experiment with you.
I just want to add a little thing to that. Oh, go ahead. Do you want to give
Okay,
an example first?
experiment. If I put down just one of the 2 strings and I leave the other, yeah, I definitely play both. Okay. It's basically the only way I have to know if I play both or not.
He just did a little trick. I don't know if he only fretted. Got his finger in
I
there.
move only one of the 2.
I did not mean to just put to fret only one of them. I just think both down as usual, but you actually pluck only one, just because of.
Usually, no.
No.
I don't even know.
Yeah, I'm a guitarist, so
Yeah.
I'm trying to think how different the plucking is.
What I would add to that, though, my own type of mandolin playing is very different from Achille's, and I play music that's from a dance tradition. So I play with a strong beat, if you will. And I'm very when I'm hitting a downstroke, it's louder. And when I'm hitting an upstroke, it's very likely that, not intentionally, I treat it as one, just the same way. It's very likely I'm only catching one of the 2 strings within the chorus on my upstroke. And that's part of what creates the pulse in the playing, is the downs are a little louder than the ups.
Yeah.
And the gravity helps you there.
Actually, this is a technique that is used also in the baroque style.
Yeah.
When you have a appoggiatura, basically a note that is more important than the next, you move your pick in a way that you play 2 notes like that, and two strings and then just one, basically. This is interesting. I mean, it's okay. I play both. I play basically just one because my standard way to pluck is straight. I mean, the peak is in a perfect angle. Not really, but almost. To the I try at least to the strings, exactly 90 degrees in every direction, both in this sense and in this sense. Okay. The reason for that is because it's the only angle I have to pluck both strings with the same intention in the same way, both down and up. If I have just one string like the guitar, I don't care if I'm here or here. The down and the up will be the same. But yet if I have 2 strings and I want to stroke them, if I have this angle, I will play 2 and then 1, or 2 and then 1. I really need to be perfectly. And what I did before was exactly change the angle of my pick in order to have more and less.
Could you demonstrate that?
Hmm?
Could you demonstrate that?
Yeah. Sorry. This is what's happened here. Yeah, as you see, these 2 instruments This is bigger. Okay. But they look quite similar in some ways. Okay. But the interesting part is that one is Italian, one is American. They are very close of age because this is 1898 and this is 1904. And this is a Salcedo made in a shop in Napoli. This is a Martin. Martin's still doing guitars. That Martin, okay, CF Martin. And this is the proof that when Americans started making mandolins, they definitely copied the Italians. Okay, you see the construction, the shape of the bowl, the proportion, the also the shape of the pickguard. It's very, 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 very similar.
So then the American one is a martini.
Absolutely.
Which is the oldest mandolin of them?
The oldest is the 1891, the one I just put here. This is the oldest. This is the oldest style. This is a 1740 model. There are oldest mandolin, but they are not tuned like that, and it's not my expertise. I don't play all the different tuning.
Mandolin, yeah. It's quite different.
Yeah. And then we said mandolin is made mostly, not always, to play transcription, to play music from violin. You know? So, for example, this is a mandola, and there's maybe. This was Bach for cello originally, and yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So the American discovered the mandolin because the Italians bring it, the Italian immigrants, you know, the big wave of 1880s, no, 1880 to 1920, a lot of Italians come there. They bring their own tradition, their own instrument. And the mandolin, the nice part of the mandolin is that wherever music I play, it sounds great. Doesn't matter what music it is.
That's right.
That's the reason why I love the mandolin. It's exactly this.
Though it didn't start as a folk instrument.
No,
but it
No,
makes
but,
a good one.
but yeah, oh yes. So, what's happened is that in beginning of the 1900s, okay, there's something Americans do all the time, and is if there's something, we will do it bigger. We'll do it stronger. That's all the time. There's no exception to this. Okay. Don't get me wrong. I'm an American. Okay, I am. 10 years and here. I love it. And so they start build mandolins. And the problem they have was exactly the problem I explained before. The bigger the mandolin, if you made it with a bow, the deeper it is, the uncomfortable it became. This mandola is pretty not, it's big. Okay. So the solution was to build a mandolin in a way that is more similar to how you build a violin. May I?
Absolutely.
I know it doesn't look like a violin, but what is similar to the violin is the carved back and the carved top. While that tops are flat, this is not. And this is a construction that is very, very similar to one of the violin. If you build an instrument in this way, you can build a bigger instrument, have more sound, and still have a very comfortable instrument close to your body without having it here. Okay. Even the mandola that is much bigger, still very, very much comfortable than mine.
You want to show the difference in scale length?
No. Another important part is the scale. For scale, we mean the distance between the bridge and the nut. That's correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Great, thanks.
Yes.
You know, she's my expert of pronunciation. and basically, the distance between here and here is traditionally 13 inches. An amazing thing is that it's really 13 inches. But you know, in Italy we don't use inches. That's not true because in 1700 we use inches. You know, we stopped using inches with the revolution, the French Revolution. You know, the meter and the centimeter happened after that. So all the measure of the violin are in inches. No, not in centimeters. And for the model of the 1830, the scale is a little bigger. I think it's 8 of an inches more, just a smaller. And this 13 inch and something is still the standard dimension of the Italian ballpark. Okay, for practical reasons, basically. The American mandolin can reach 14 inches, 1 inch more, 1 inch more of distance between the bridge and the nut, and you feel it. I mean, it's really so. It's one of the reasons why I wasn't able to adapt to the Gibson scale. It was a problem for me. I tried because I love the American mandolin, very comfortable, very powerful. So the solution was this instrument that is another American made. It's a Lion and Healy. They made it between 1910 and 1930s, and they invented their own shape. As you see, it's very fancy with the two points, and the scroll That is, like a violin. To project a scroll for the mandolin, it's quite complicated, and this is really elegant, very, very nice. And because they were in competition with Gibson, okay, they invented something, and they reduced the scale to the same of a ballback. And the reason for that is that if you build a neck that is the same of a violin, you can convince the violin player to play the mandolin without any modification. And that's a big advantage. This was the time when the mandolin orchestra were in the golden era. There's a picture of a mandolin orchestra in every city of 100 element playing every kind of mandolins. Was an amazing period.
Yeah, if you find yourself in front of a computer with nothing to do sometimes, just Google 1920s mandolin orchestra, and you'll see beautiful photos of people in fabulous 20s costumes with their brand new, and there will be whole orchestras of all Lion Healy models and whole orchestras of the Gibson models, and everybody's out with their brand new fancy mandolins and great outfits, and they're wonderful.
Can you play the recording? Are there any recordings available?
I don't know, because, okay, let's say there's one reason why the golden era of the mandolin is between 1880 and 1920. Not the 20s, in the teen 1920. Because the mandolin doesn't like amplification, doesn't sound well amplified. It's not its major strength. And in the 20s, was the era they start, the big band, the winds, volume and more volume. So the banjo is really painful,
How does this differ in sound from the more tubular, the more rounded mandolin? How does the sound change?
It's different. It's not the same. Yeah.
When I lived in Rome, I had a mandolin player who played for me all the time. And he held that mandolin higher than where you're holding it.
That's possible, yes.
Did
you have a belly?
No, he didn't have a belly. He didn't have a belly, and he didn't have these flat versions. He had the classical version. He was from Naples, and he held it very high, which was very romantic because,
something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And he put his head next to it, like making love to the mandolin.
Yeah, because basically, when I play sitting, I put the mandolin on my leg. Sure. Okay, and that's it. It's very comfortable. To play standing up without any support, I need basically to jog. Correct. I'm using this part.
That's because he's an American now.
Yeah, of course. And another interesting thing is when you do the tremolo, because as I explained before, you need to stay the more parallel to the string as possible. In an ideal world, your arm is in the same line of the strings. No? Then really this is not really that comfortable, so everyone move a little bit. And what you try to do is to don't have too much angle. Okay, just exactly. But the less angle you have, the better it is. And when you play standing, yes, you hold it. Naturally, you hold it. I'm not very good on play standing with a ball buck, and one of the reasons why I love my lion here is because I can use a strap standing, and there's some advantage in that. So I'm very open to different things, different style, and I think it's one of the most interesting part of the mandolin. It's not just like that. The violin is like that. You don't use a different kind of violin. Violin is a violin.
Unless you call it a fiddle.
Yeah, you just call it like that. There's no real difference between a fiddle and violin. No.
What opportunities do you have now to play all these instruments?
To play all of them is something I don't do. I usually play one of them at the time. Because
You only have 2 hands?
you read my mind. And but I like to play them all. It's a sort of rotation. Okay. Right now, my activity is mostly teaching and managing the mandolin orchestra, the San Francisco Mandolin Orchestra, and we do 2 concert seasons a year. And every season I play a different instrument. Last time I played the mandola. I played a transcription of a Gershwin prelude. And that was really nice.
Where do they play?
We play, in San Francisco we play in Mission Dolores. If you like to have more information, sfmandolin.org. San Francisco Mandolin Orchestra, if you Google it, you find it easily. Or maybe I can leave my book on the front desk. If you leave me my email, I will reach you and give you the information about the orchestra in the city. I will not scam you. Promise you will receive a very, very tiny amount of email just for...
What's your favorite mandolin play?
This is like ask a mom
Okay,
and the
favorite
children.
child.
You know the story. I
Yeah,
mean.
no, but sometimes it's like one that's...
Yeah, the one I use the most now, I know is this one, because it's the most comfortable.
Oh,
So,
How much do mandolins cost these days?
okay, keep in mind that no one do mandolin like this anymore. They don't exist. They stopped doing in the 40s, and thankfully they are not in big demand. Gibson won, definitely. Okay, the bigger, stronger, they definitely won. So a mandolin like that can cost around 4,000. Okay, that is pretty reasonable for such an exquisite instrument. Definitely. And the mandolin does not have the high value to the violins. They don't reach the millions. I think the most expensive mandolin I ever saw is an F5 around 100,000.
Yeah, there are. The Gibson company had a chief engineer who was there for 2.5 years, from 22 to 25 or something like that, and he was an innovator, and he created the F5 with the F holes, right? This is not one of them.
This is not, yeah, but basically one of the main innovations to use the F. The F allow a different kind of brace, and the sound is better to do bluegrass, to do projects.
Yeah, it has a projection to it that can be quite astounding, and so a signed Lloyd Loar mandolin can go for as much as $250,000, but there are only a dozen of them.
Yeah, they are very, very few instruments.
Yeah.
To understand the flexibility of the instrument, can you play something really modern?
find the right. Let's see if you know this one. I'm an Eddie Van Halen fan.
Are you allowing only mandolins in the mandolin orchestra? Or do you have other instruments too?
We have mandolins, all the mandolin family, and guitars, and a bass.
Guitars and bass?
Bass, guitars. Sometime we had a viola da gamba. Sometimes we have an archilute. The archilute is amazing, you know.
A what?
Okay, an archilute.
An archlute.
An archlute. It's basically an instrument before about the technology of the strings. Because they were able to build big enough strings, okay, in order to have very deep sounds, the strings had to be longer, very long. So the archilute is the lute with extension, and when the player is sit play, cannot reach the peg. Because we are 2 meters long, 3 feet, no, 6 feet long. We are, to tuning, they have to.
Have a tuning buddy.
Yeah.
So what is it that you just played that we were supposed to identify?
The last piece almost Jump of Eddie Van Halen, but just if you know it.
How many members are in the orchestra?
Right now, around 20-25, because the Bay Area is members of the orchestra come from all over the Bay, from Petaluma to San Jose. We have people from Davis and Santa Cruz, really from there. And right now, for example, we have a lot of former members that are now doing a PhD in Chicago. They went to take care of the trees in Alaska, and things like that. For real.
San Francisco has been historically a busy mandolin town.
Yep.
There are a lot of, and moving into sort of modern mandolin music, David Grisman and Mike Marshall, people who are very well known in the bluegrass and newgrass and the mandolin and beyond. It's been a mecca for mandolin players, starting, you know, in the waves of the Italian immigration, I'd say, in the 1880s, and straight on through. I play the mandolin because my grandfather played the mandolin in San Francisco in the 40s and 50s.
Did you play something for us?
Yes, please.
So, very different. I play Irish music on the mandolin, which is an odd thing in itself.
Semi-classical instruments that were played beautifully without amplification. I'm sure that for the techno geeky side, somebody must have electrified these things, made a horrible looking instrument. What do you do with it?
Okay, there's
I play the banjo, that's why
yeah.
I asked.
There's
I assume you don't have them with you, but what's the impact of these, you know, I mean, the violin has become digitized, electrified, I mean, everything else. What is
I actually have a couple of electric mandolin.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
Oh, lucky you.
And do
Are they
you
all four-string?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Okay, think the classical guitar. Okay, you think you can imagine a classical guitar. Then think an electric guitar. Okay, it's not the same instrument.
No.
Same. Think a mandolin. I play now a mandolin, and then think an electric mandolin, and it's a completely different instrument. Usually they have 4 strings because they have much more sustain. So, and when you do a tremolo on an electric instrument, basically you make a lot of noise. So it's much better to have single strings, use distortion, all the possible tricks. Okay. Then there's a tradition of bluegrass play with electric instruments, and it's not a much different technique of the one they use on the mandolin, but it's a little like use an electric guitar like a classical guitar. You can, but in my opinion, you miss the possibilities.
Yeah.
That is what I think.
I feel like an electric mandolin just sounds like an electric guitar to me. It's a 4-string electric, small, high electric guitar.
More aesthetic. More aesthetic.
Yeah. Doesn't have that characteristic mandolin sound to my ear.
No.
Which comes from the double strings to some extent.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And
so here's an innovation we haven't talked about: the adjustable bridge.
Oh.
Because
No, I'm against the
Oh,
adjustable bridge. Question for you. I'm obviously how much do you move?
I move it often.
Oh, that's a surprise.
I do, yeah. So what we're talking about here, so I'll put this down.
Yeah, another innovation that the maker we were talking before, Lloyd, because it's his idea,
Yeah,
was the adjustable bridge.
right, so I have these little wheels here on my bridge, so I can raise it and lower it. So, mandolins, at least mine, maybe not all of them, are very susceptible to temperature and humidity. So vast changes. If I leave the window open in the living room at night, my mandolin on the couch, when I come in, it might be a quarter tone to a half tone sharp in the morning, just from the cool air at night. So if I travel to a very humid environment, the wood soaks up humidity and my action goes way high and it's very hard to play and it doesn't sound right. So I can just crank down my little wheels and make it playable again. And quite similarly, if I go to the desert, the action falls, that the moisture comes out of the wood, the action falls, and you get buzzing. You get the sound of the strings hitting the frets. So I can crank up my bridge, and voila. So I'm a fan of the adjustable bridge. Maybe the bullback isn't as variable.
Usually, what's happened to the instrument with the truss rods, that is another important innovation.
Yeah.
Basically, you see this little plaque of metal. If you move this, you discover that inside the neck, there's a long piece of metal, a long screw, that basically counterpoint the strength of strings. Okay, this is normal in guitar. It is the invention that made possible the electric guitar. It's not possible to have an electric guitar with that long neck without a truss rods. That's one of the reasons why the bowl box usually does not have a long neck, and they are stronger, they are bigger, thicker. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, the early Gibson have
Still very thick.
thicker,
Yeah.
and they don't move because they are much tougher. So the adjustable bridge go together with the
truss rod.
truss rods that allow to have a slimmer neck that is a little more comfortable.
Yeah. I've never adjusted the truss request.
Yeah, yeah.
It's decorative.
So you don't tune yours on pegs, the tuning pegs?
Oh, I absolutely do.
You do,
Yes.
as well as adjusting your bridge?
But yes, the adjusting of the bridge is not to tune the instrument, it's to accommodate for changes in the height of the strings from the.
Yeah, but you just said that in certain temperatures, you'll find that it's a sharper tone, or it could go flat.
Yes.
But couldn't you accommodate that change by?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, you would normally absolutely tune with the tuning pegs.
Right.
You would adjust your tune. Yeah. Yeah. This is much more extreme if the instrument is not playable
Yeah.
because of the temperature and humidity conditions. Yeah.
And yeah.
We're getting there.
No, no. And what else?
Sorry to interrupt. This is a very interesting conversation, but
Oh yeah.
okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks
for
for
very, very
Thank you.
I love the mellow sound of the mandolin.
Oh, thank you. It's been played a lot.
Thank you.